Apple today released first performance numbers regarding the Apple A14 Firestorm. And the performance are really devastating to x86 CPUs. So let's take a look on the numbers. They actually released the 40% higher performance in terms of CPU in compared to Apple A12 Vortex cores, which is in the last generation of iPads. So let's calculate the performance from these numbers. And let's jump to, this is my older videos about the prediction, and we can see here that Apple A13 Lightning has in a Geekbench 502 points per gigahertz, and Apple A12 Vortex here has a 441 points per gigahertz. This is the IPC, and actually I did the average and I predicted just the simple average, and so it was 13.5 my prediction, which was leading to 570 points per gigahertz. And actually this is not exact. So let's take a look what is the actually numbers with the Apple 40% above A12 Vortex. So let's take a look on the other slide, and those are the same numbers but they're recalculated for the Apple A14. So actually we can see here Apple suggested 40% above A12. A12 has a 1116 points approximately, which means multiply by 40%, 1.4, which actually leads to 1562 points. Guys, this is really huge score because Comet Lake running on 5.3 gigahertz has a score about 1460. So actually the iPhone and iPad will have in the single thread like a 10% higher, 10% faster CPU actually than Intel desktop chips, and the fastest desktop chips. And you have to remember those chips are really highly binned. Not every chip can actually work on 5.3 gigahertz. Most of the chips they are running 4.5, 4.6 gigahertz. So those are really highly binned chips. But those these iPads and iPhones, they are actually achieving, every iPhone is achieving this frequency. So this also needs to be remembered. So this is really super high score. So iPhones and iPads, they are going to outperform every today desktop chips. So yeah, PC will be absolutely devastated by the Apple A14. Yeah, so even 16 core Ryzen has a score like a 1300 something. So yeah, this is even worse for the AMD. But okay, let's go to calculate the IPC. When we estimate the frequency about 2.8 gigahertz, which is kind of suggested because last A13 Lightning has a 2.65 gigahertz, so, and Vortex has a 2.53 gigahertz approximately. So yeah, we can, with a 5 nanometer new process will allow to cut also the power consumption. They can afford to have a higher frequency, not much. 2.8 gigahertz is really pretty realistic suggestion for iPhone and iPads. So yeah, so when we do divide this absolute performance score by the frequency, we will receive 558 points per gigahertz. This is the IPC, and when we compare it to Lightning IPC, and we divided 558 divided by 502, we will get actually the 11% IPC. 11% IPC is pretty good for, and you have to remember, for the last iteration of the 6 LAU architecture, because Apple is using 6 LAU integer cores since A11 Monsoon. This was the first completely new architecture, because A10 Hurricane is the 4 LAU only. This was the last generation. A11 was the 6 LAU architecture, and major redesign was also the Lightning here. There was adding third branch unit, and in between there is a A12, and A14 is the small uplift in small IPC uplift. But so you can see here there was a small uplift, 30% is pretty good, and small uplift in the 11%. And this was a bigger redesign with a 14% IPC uplift. So not bad. 11% is not bad for the last iteration, and because Apple is releasing every 4 years, at least this is the pattern what was used here from A7, was the first 4 LAU architecture. You can see here big redesign. The Twister delivered 32%. Pretty nice redesign, and yeah, huge performance Apple is pushing. So if Apple keeps this pattern, Apple A15 should be another major redesign in architecture, probably using ARM v9 new instruction set together with the SVE2 vectors. Huge upgrade, way better than the x86. So this is really huge numbers. And don't forget, this is the iPhone and iPad, and my suggestion is the laptops like a MacBook, they can actually use 3 GHz frequency, and 3 GHz frequency actually leads to 1600 Geekbench points. Guys, yeah, there is this is really huge. These points, yeah, MacBooks, Apple laptops, they are going to outperform even the fastest Zen 3 machines. Even a Rocket Lake running on 5.5 gigahertz will be outperformed by MacBook. Yeah, with a really low TDP, about 25 watts or something like this. This is really devastating. And when I talk about a devastation, you need to see actually the comparison to Intel and AMD, because the IPC is absolutely so. Yeah, how do you want to comment this? Because the Apple A14, the IPC is like it's actually double than the Comet Lake. And so what is the conclusion? This is absolutely devastating. It's like when Ice Lake brought 80% IPC uplift here, it was a big change, and Intel is not able to deliver actually the product with the problems with the manufacturing. So actually Intel stays mostly on the Comet Lake here, and still waiting to solve the issue to deliver the Ice Lake. But Apple has a double IPC, guys. This is so, yeah, the numbers, it maybe doesn't look like when you, but the IPC is absolutely devastating. And look at here, the Zen 3, the prediction for the Zen 3 is like 15% uplift from the Zen 2. And you can see here, yeah, it will be like 80% higher IPC, the Apple A14. Guys, this is a really serious situation for x86. So you can see the reason why Apple is moving to their own silicon. Apple has a best architecture already since Apple A9. They are actually leading the IPC since Apple A9, and yeah, and since then they are always like increasing the leadership actually in terms of IPC. This is absolutely, yeah, I will say for the 100 times it's devastating, but it is actually devastating. This is the evidence why Apple is not moving to AMD from Intel, but they are moving to their own silicon. Because as long as I am AMD fan and I am proud owner of the Ryzen 3700X, I have to admit that these IPC numbers are absolutely this is yeah, when you have in-house such architecture, there is no way why you should actually change for something much worse like Intel, AMD, or actually the Cortex cores from the ARM. Yeah, doesn't make sense when you have already the best architecture on the world. Actually, this is pretty clear. And when you want to see the numbers, actually, if it's really double IPC, I can show you the table. And the calculation is pretty clear here. You can here see the Apple A14 Firestorm. There is a 558 score per gigahertz, and actually this last column is percentage relative to Intel 9900K, which is Coffee Lake refresh, and you can see, yeah, this is more than double IPC to Coffee Lake refresh, guys. This is and the Comet Lake has the same IPC. So yes, Apple has a more than double IPC, like a 101, 102, if it's rounded. This is, yeah, this is it's pretty serious, and especially when we count also the Zen 3, it is my prediction with the 15%. This is somewhere here. And yeah, even Zen 3 is really in a bad situation. And if we, interesting is here, I also did some for fun, the prediction of the Golden Cove. I took seriously the rumor about 40% above Coffee Lake and the Comet Lake. So yeah, I just calculated the IPC. And the IPC is pretty nice. It's like really 40%. Of course, it's calculated from it. 40%, but yeah, even the Golden Cove has a really deficit in the IPC, like a 60%. So this is a huge problem for x86. It's a huge problem for AMD, huge problem for the Intel. And yeah, I hope you like this video. Most of the people probably will be shocked with the numbers actually, but CPU enthusiasts, they already know that Apple architecture is absolutely stellar. Still, since A9 Twister here, Apple is actually leading, has a 10% above the Comet Lake already since 2015, guys. This is huge. And as a last thing, I would like to show you the architecture Apple is using. Actually, Apple is using since A7 architecture, like a 4 wide, 4 LAUs, and probably 4 floating point units. Twister was a big upgrade with a 30% IPC. They probably went to 6 wide with the 2 branches here with a 4 LAUs still. And but look at the beast here, the brand new architecture of Apple A11 Monsoon. This is 6 LAUs and 2 branch pipelines. Guys, this is 8 wide, the core, and it has a 2 multiplication units. And it has a 6 shifters. This is absolutely monsters, and 6 floating points units. Guys, this is absolutely monster architecture. And Apple A14 here, this is my estimation because this is the just small uplift It will be from the Apple A13, and Apple A13 added this branch unit. So it's even wider than the A11, A12. And Apple A14, this is a small uplift, so no major architecture changes. They will probably they do some magic with the caches and the latencies. So yeah, the architecture will be probably the same, 19 microbes per cycle, and 6 LAUs plus 3 special branches, so it's 9 wide. It's absolutely monster. So yeah, we cannot be so much surprised that Apple has a really huge course. And so I hope you like this video. And yeah, um, tough tough times for x86 guys, because Apple is going to be dominate actually the laptop market in terms of performance. And it's just they are lucky that Apple is not manufacturing those super cores, those architecture CPUs in the big volume, because otherwise Intel AMD would have a really huge problem. And as a last thing, I would like to show you the timeline actually of the development. This is my suggestion how it is going. So this is the first 6 LAU monster architecture, which was released by Apple in 2017. And Apple is doing usually every 4 years actually main redesign. So it was 4 LAU brand new architecture in 2013 was released. 2017 was the 6 LAU major redesign after 4 iterations. And we can see here that the Apple A14 here is probably last 6 LAU design, and that's why there is only 11 IPC uplift. And then next year it's coming new instruction set ARMv9 plus SVE vectors. So, and because it's the last 4th iteration, we expect, actually I expect to have a 8 LAU monster core from Apple, because Nuvia suggests incredibly high IPC. Nuvia IPC should be really 2.5 more than the Comet Lake, so it's like even like a 50% more IPC than Apple A15. Actually, in compared to A15, it's like a 25 more percent IPC. So it's like really huge IPC, and there is no way to deliver it with the 6 LAUs. Probably my suggestion is next year is coming Nuvia with the 8 LAUs, and next year, end of the next year, is coming Nuvia and probably Apple A15. Yeah, this is related to the same chief designer, which is the Gerard Williams III. This is the same guy who actually designed this Apple cores. He left Apple and established startup Nuvia. So it's no wonder this is really super high performance cores also for the servers. And yeah, next year is extremely exciting, because there is also coming probably Zen 4 is coming end of the 2021. So it's perfect. And also there is a next year is coming brand new Cortex Matterhorn with a 6 LAU architecture and also SVE vectors. And it should be like a 60% more IPC than the Comet Lake. So somewhere like a Apple A12 Vortex. So actually, yeah, next year will be super exciting in terms of architecture. And Apple A14 is devastating, but it's just the beginning, guys. Much bigger jump in terms of performance will be Apple A15. And so don't be surprised that Apple is going to replace also the Intel Xeon processors, because this Apple A15 will be huge jump in terms of performance, and it will be super easy for them to replace also Xeon processors. And yeah, next year actually is there is a also coming the Golden Cove. So actually next year we have a like a 3, 4 brand new, completely new architectures. Actually, it's going to be Nuvia, completely new architecture. There's going to be Apple A15. It's going to be completely new architecture. There is also coming Matterhorn. This is the French Sophia Antipolis derived, completely new architecture. And also Golden Cove should come also next year or end of the next year. So we have at least 4 completely new architectures, and also probably Zen 4 and Zen 4, which is another big uplift from completely new architecture of Zen 3. So actually next year is a super exciting year. And if somebody wants to see the estimation of the Nuvia and what is coming, actually this is just not based on some numbers. You can see that those arrows are just handwritten here, but you can see the Nuvia is absolutely devastating. Even the Apple, yeah, this is the same chief designer. And Matterhorn will be somewhere around Apple A12, as I already said. So yeah, exciting. ARM will be super strong next year, and x86 Golden Cove will be somewhere here, and Zen 3 is going to be somewhere here, and Zen 4, I expect Zen 4 to have 6 floating point units, 512-bit wide, and supporting AVX 512. So yeah, in terms of floating point, I think Zen 4 could be somewhere even better than the Golden Cove, but in terms of integer IPC, could be a little bit lower. So yeah, it depends on the load. But Zen 4, I expect Zen 4 to be a really beast. I also expect it's in other video that Zen 3 will have 6 floating point units, but Zen 4 has a doublet the width, and supporting the AVX 512, it will be the really floating point beast. In some floating point performance, it could probably beat maybe even the Matterhorn. So really exciting. Next year, 2021, will be really like a heaven for the CPU enthusiasts.